It's Thursday, August 11th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, and it's Front Page Thursday, so we'll be previewing our HAN papers later on in the show. We also have the latest local news for you and sports and weather with Frank Granito. And of course, later on, we'll take a look back on this day in history with Donald Ang. But first, on to today's headlines. Milford police are looking for an armed robber they said robbed two men in downtown Milford yesterday. Police said the robbery took place Wednesday, August 10th at about 11:20 in the morning. A black man about 5 feet 7 inches tall with a thin build and wearing a white t-shirt, gray shorts, and white sneakers approached two men in the rear parking lot of 190 Broad Street, which is People's United Bank, and demanded that the men give him all their money. The suspect showed the men a pistol concealed in his pocket, and after he received the money, he fled the scene on foot. Surveillance footage shows the man possibly getting into an older model green four-door sedan in front of the bank. The suspect is believed to have seen one of the male victims make a bank transaction and then waited for him in that parking lot. But anyone with information regarding that incident is urged to contact the Milford Police at 203-878-6551. And Shelton police are investigating reports of an armed robbery that took place Wednesday afternoon on Bridgeport Avenue in the area of Avalon condominiums. A victim reported that he was followed from a Bridgeport business to his residence by a suspect in a gold Honda Odyssey. The victim reported that upon exiting his vehicle, a Hispanic male jumped out of the rear of the minivan with a handgun, demanding the victim's money. The victim reported that he gave the suspect the money and the vehicle fled the area. Shelton police are investigating that incident, and if you have any information, you can contact them at 203-924-1544. And according to the Darien Times, some Aquarian customers in southern Darien may be experiencing an earthy taste or odor to their water, according to Aquarian. This issue is caused by some algae in the North Stamford Reservoir, according to Aquarian spokesman Peter Fazekas. While the earthy taste and odor may be perceived as unpleasant, it does not pose any risk to health. Officials say they're working diligently to remedy that situation. And a man accused of being a wholesale dealer of marijuana and marijuana wax is facing several charges after his arrest by Stratford police. 31-year-old Marcelino Molino of Stamford is charged with 2 counts of sale of marijuana, as well as operating a drug factory, cultivation of marijuana, and risk of injury to a minor. Stratford, Stamford, and Bridgeport police executed search and seizure warrants in Bridgeport and Stamford on August 5th. Police said the residences were the target of their investigation. Police said Stamford narcotics officers took Molina into custody outside his home while he was about to conduct a drug transaction. Police said officers found several $1,000s in U.S. currency, 292 grams of marijuana, and 406 grams of marijuana wax, which is a highly potent form of THC. Police said Molina's children were inside the apartment and he had left them alone to go outside to conduct that drug sale. Police did not reveal the ages of those children. Police said Molino is a wholesale marijuana dealer who received large packages containing marijuana and marijuana wax from a source in California through the U.S. Postal Service. Police found several items used to grow and cultivate marijuana in the Bridgeport address, as well as marijuana wax. But there's more on that story at StratfordStar.com. And Hearst, Connecticut media reports that the National Weather Service has confirmed that a tornado touched down in North Haven on Wednesday afternoon at about 1:30. The NWS reported that the tornado cut a 50-yard wide path over the distance of about 2 miles with winds of 70 miles per hour and no injuries caused. It was rated as an EF-0 tornado, which is the lowest intensity level for such a storm. The Weather Service also said the designation of a tornado was preliminary and subject to change pending final review of that event, which occurred amid a number of storms that moved through the state Wednesday afternoon. There were media reports of some damaged downed trees and power outages. And the state of Connecticut will again hold its tax-free week. From August 21st to August 27th, any clothing item or pair of shoes under $100 will be sales tax exempt if purchased locally. The Darien Chamber of Commerce announced that local retailers were excited about the upcoming event. They said take your list and check it twice to make sure you don't miss out on all the savings that can extend your purchasing power. Tax exempt status will also extend to sale items that are priced under $100 and items purchased with a coupon for less than $100. But you can get more at DarienTimes.com. And it may be August and the dog days of summer, but the silly season has already struck in Easton. 2 residents called Easton police to report the theft of political signs from their yards on the morning of August 6th. Resident Terry Jennings put up a Hillary Clinton lawn sign at her Rock House Road home after the former First Lady and New York Senator accepted the National Democratic Party's presidential nomination. Jennings said, "I haven't put out signs before, but this time I did. I put it out to celebrate." However, that celebration was short-lived. Jennings' son came home to his family's Easton home on the evening of August 5th to find that the Clinton sign was gone and in its place was a Trump sign. But there's more on that story at eastoncourier.com. And in other news, a tiny beetle has been released experimentally into Monroe's Webb Mountain Park in a biological control designed to attack another insect that's ravaging Connecticut's hemlock trees. About 100 black lady beetles were released in the park by Monroe's park ranger and tree warden Dave Solik and Dr. Carol Chi, a research entomologist, an authority on insects associated with the Valley Laboratory of the Connecticut Agricultural Department Experiment Station. They plan to return to the location in the fall to determine the impact on the invasive insect, the hemlock woolly agilid. Both the predatory insects and the prey they feed on are barely visible to the naked eye, but you can get a lot more on that story at monroecourier.com. But we're going to switch gears now and throw it over to Frank Granito for a look at the forecast. Frank.
Thank you, Kate, and I hope you didn't enjoy those cooler temperatures at the start of the week too much, because it looks like we are about to be right back in the middle of a heat wave. It'll be partly cloudy today with chances of showers and thunderstorms until about midnight tonight. There's an expected high of 87 degrees, but with 85% humidity during the day, that number is going to feel a lot more like 100 degrees. It'll be very humid tonight with a low of 77, but things should clear up a little bit after midnight heading into Friday morning. We can expect Friday to be very similar to today, partially cloudy, chances for rain and thunderstorms, temperatures up in the low 90s, and a high humidity percentage. Saturday looks like it'll be the hottest day of this entire week. Temperatures could reach as high as 94, and with humidity up above 85%, it will feel like 105 degrees outside. So make sure you are drinking plenty of water through the weekend. Mostly sunny throughout the day there, but a chance for a thunderstorm in the late afternoon before it clears up overnight heading into Sunday. So Kate, temperatures going way up the next few days. Got to drink a lot of water. Maybe spend a couple days inside.
Yes, I agree, Frank. All right, thank you so much. We are going to step out for a break. When we come back, Donald Eng will take a look back on this day in history. Frank has a Nutmeg Sports Update, and we have more local news coming up after this. Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Chop off your knives to be sharpened. Grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
What's happening up in Hartford and what's trending in the Nutmeg State?
Join Kate Czaplinski
And Josh Fisher
on CT Pulse live Wednesdays at 12:30 to find out.
We talk to the leaders and newsmakers while breaking down the stories you should be paying attention to each week.
With the help of HAN's editorial cartoonist Doug Smith, we take a humorous look at the news of the week. We talk about everything you were told you should avoid bringing up in polite company.
CT Pulse, Wednesdays at 12:30 on the HAN network.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. The construction is incredible, whether it's the floors, the fireplace, the moldings, the lighting. It's as peaceful as my home was in the middle of the woods. It feels like a house. It does not feel like a condo or a townhome. I feel like I'm in my house.
You're watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. More than 1.5 million viewers have watched our live sports, news, and entertainment broadcasting since the network launched in August 2015. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
We're back on this August 11th edition of your coffee break on the HAN Network. Kate Czaplinski, time to throw it over now to Donald Lang for a look back on this day in history. Don.
Well, Kate, it was one of the most destructive weeks in American history. First, though, we go all the way back to 3114 BCE. The Mesoamerican long count calendar, most notably used by the Mayans, begins. It ended, you remember, with the end of the world on December 21st, 2012. Well, not really. Despite the publicity surrounding that 2012 date, there was no reason to think the Maya believed the world would end on that date. For the ancient Maya, it would have been a huge celebration to make it to the end of the cycle. The Maya did believe there had been previous cycles and therefore understood there would have been ones to follow. To 1934. The first civilian prisoners arrive at the federal prison on Alcatraz Island. One of the world's most notorious and best-known prisons, Alcatraz housed over 1,500 of America's most ruthless criminals, including Al Capone, Robert Franklin Stroud, the legendary Birdman of Alcatraz, who never actually kept birds at Alcatraz, but never mind, and Machine Gun Kelly. During the 29 years the prison operated, 36 prisoners made 14 escape attempts, including the legendary 1962 Escape from Alcatraz that was later immortalized in film. To 1972, the last U.S. ground troops leave South Vietnam. President Richard Nixon vowed that the U.S. would continue to use air power and material assistance to support South Vietnam, but, well, we know what political promises are worth. South Vietnam would fall in April of 1975. Finally, now we go to 1965 for this.
A special task force of 1,000 policemen stays on the alert as the thousands of guardsmen patrol an area of 35 square miles. The outbreak spread to other Southern California cities, but were quickly quelled. In Los Angeles, authorities say they are now ready to move with dispatch if lawlessness breaks out anew. The riots in Los Angeles have written a sorrowful page in American history.
It was on this day in 1965 that hostilities between police and the African-American community of Los Angeles boiled over at a DUI stop in which suspect Marquette Fry's mother, Rena Price, began to berate Fry for driving drunk. Officers began shoving Fry. Price tried to intervene. Another officer drew his shotgun. Bystanders got involved, and that sparked the L.A. Watts riots. Over 6 days, 100 square blocks of the city were destroyed. 34 people lost their lives. That is your look back in history for today, August 11th, and I'm Donald Lang.
Thanks so much, Don. Well, getting back to a little more news today, the New Canaan Board of Finance, after seeing a presentation of photographs showing that structural columns in the former Outback building have shifted and fractured and are infested with wood-boring beetles, and after hearing that hurricane winds could possibly cause the building to collapse, approved allocating $75,000 from contingency funds for the building department and issued a statement strongly discouraging any town body from spending any money to explore alternative uses of that building. The presentation and board actions took place at the Finance's regular monthly meeting. The $75,000 is to cover some unbudgeted expenses related to owning the building, which formerly housed the Outback Teen Center and which officially became town property on July 1st. There's a lot more on that story at ncadvertiser.com. We're going to throw it back over to Frank now for a Nutmeg Sports Update. Frank.
Thank you, Kate. And there's some unfortunate news announced late Tuesday afternoon that Staples senior running back Ethan Berger will miss the entire 2016 football season due to a leg injury. Ethan was injured last season, tore his ACL, and suffered several other serious leg injuries during the football season. The story first reported on the Rudin Report says that Berger's doctors did not think he would be available until at least the end of September, and it would be best if he took the season off. Berger is verbally committed to the University of Vermont to play lacrosse and expects to make a full recovery by the time the spring season rolls around for Staples Lacrosse, who had their best season last year in 2015. Norwalk defeated Eastside Baseball of South Bend, Indiana Wednesday night at Gardens Park to advance to the Cal Ripken World Series semifinals. Norwalk is now one of 4 teams left in the chase for the World Series championship and will face off against Poughkeepsie, New York on Thursday afternoon. This is the second time Norwalk and Poughkeepsie will play each other in this World Series. Poughkeepsie won the first game by a final score of 14-3. They earned a bye in the first round and have been awaiting the winner of Norwalk South Bend. That semifinals game is set to be played tonight at 7 p.m. down in Florida. And in the Little League New England Regional Tournament up in Bristol, Connecticut, Fairfield American is ready to get back on the field and continue their quest for a berth in the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Fairfield will play at 1 o'clock this afternoon against Bedford, New Hampshire at Breen Field. This will be the second time these 2 teams play in this regional tournament. New Hampshire won the first game by a score of 7-1. Again, that game is set to start at 1 o'clock. It can be seen on the Watch ESPN app. That's going to do it for this Nutmeg Sports Update. Let's send it back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. Well, recapping some of the top stories that we're following today, Milford police are looking for an armed robber they say robbed 2 men in downtown Milford yesterday. Police say the robbery took place Wednesday, August 10th at about 11:20 in the morning. A black man about 5 feet 7 inches tall with a thin build who was wearing a white t-shirt, gray shorts, and white sneakers approached 2 men in the rear parking lot of 190 Broad Street, which is the People's United Bank, and he demanded that those men give him all their money. The suspect showed the men a pistol concealed in his pocket, and after he received the money, he fled. Surveillance footage shows the man possibly getting into an older model green 4-door sedan in front of the bank. The suspect is believed to have seen one of the male victims make a bank transaction and then waited for him in the parking lot. If you have any information on that crime, you can contact Milford Police at 203-878-6551. And Shelton police are investigating reports of an armed robbery that also took place Wednesday on Bridgeport Avenue in the area of the Avalon condominiums. A victim reported that he was followed from a Bridgeport business to his residence by a suspect in a gold Honda Odyssey. The victim reported that upon exiting his vehicle, a Hispanic male jumped out of the rear of that minivan with a handgun demanding money. The victim reported that he gave the suspect his money and the vehicle then fled the scene. Shelton police are investigating that incident, and anyone with information can contact them at 203-924-1544. And according to the Darien Times, some Aquarian customers in southern Darien may be experiencing an earthy taste or odor to their water, according to Aquarian. This issue is caused by algae in the North Stamford Reservoir, according to spokesman Peter Fazekas. While the earthy taste and odor may be unpleasant, it does not pose any risk to health, and officials say they're working diligently to remedy that situation. And in other news, thanks in part to a grant, the Collie Farmhouse on the Weston Historical Society property received a new wood-shingled roof. The roof cost about $25,000 to replace. The Historical Society received a $10,000 matching grant from the 1772 Foundation in cooperation with the 2016 Connecticut Trust for Historic Preservation. The balance of the roof replacement project has been partially funded by donations to the Society during the 2016 Fairfield County Gives campaign. The house sits on the Coley homestead located at 104 Weston Road, a 3.7-acre parcel of land that hosts the Weston Historical Society. And finally, Ridgefield photographer Joe McNally has begun his assignment for Sports Illustrated to cover the 2016 Summer Olympics in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. McNally has photographed the Los Angeles 1984 Summer Olympics and the Sydney 2000 Summer Olympics. He is part of a team of 5 photographers that Sports Illustrated has selected to cover the games. He told the press arriving in Rio and working here with a camera in hand is bracing, colorful, and lively. He said the people are warm-hearted and welcoming, and the athletes, of course, are magnificent. McNally's career has spanned more than 30 years and included assignments in more than 60 countries. Well, we're going to step out for a break, and when we come back, John Kovacs joins me, and we're going to preview the front pages of our HAN Network community newspapers this week, coming up after this.
Mosquitoes, ticks, gone. Guaranteed. That's what Mosquito Squad guarantees as America's most trusted mosquito and tick control company. Locally owned and operated, over 90,000 homes have been protected by Mosquito Squad, using their dual protection method for season-long protection, which includes barrier spray service for eliminating mosquitoes and adult ticks, as well as supplemental programs to increase tick control. They use only USDA organic options, which are safe and non-toxic. Contact them today at www.squadctny.com or 203-893-4309. Mosquito Squad. No bugs, no bites, no kidding.
A Better View Window Cleaning Plus has been cleaning glass all over Connecticut for over 20 years. They also specialize in cleaning chandeliers, mirrors, skylights, tiles, and will power wash anything that needs cleaning. They hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and are fully insured and bonded. When you deal with a Better View, you're dealing with the best, not the rest. Call today for a free estimate, 203-284-8836, or visit them online, abetterviewcleaning.com.
Warm weather, light breezes, boats are in the water. There's no better place to celebrate summer than the Dock Shop. Whether in Darien at 51 Tokenique Road or Westport at 609 Riverside Avenue, the Dock Shop is where you'll find everything you need to kick off summer. From the latest summer apparel to the newest fishing tackle, the Dock Shop will help you get the most out of your next beach day or harbor cruise. At the Dock Shop, you'll find a wonderful selection of items made in the USA and right here in New England, all with a distinct nautical flair. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the coastal lifestyle, this is a unique place to shop. DockShop.com.
When it comes to local entertainment, we've got it all.
From movies, local artists, etiquette, and more.
Watch HAN Arts and Leisure every Thursday at 2 on the HAN Network.
Today's coffee break is brought to you by Poly School of Gymnastics in Stratford, celebrating 45 years in business with fall and winter programs starting in September. Poly's offers classes at all levels, Monday through Saturday for boys and girls. Morning classes for little ones 15 months to 2 years are available, along with preschool and kindergarten classes 4 days a week. Some classes have limited availability. Call 203-375-3244 or like Poly School of Gymnastics on Facebook. We are back on this Thursday edition of your coffee break on the HAN Network. Happy to have editorial director John Kovach back with me. He was on vacation last week, but here he is. And we're going to preview the front pages, John.
Yes, we are.
All right, it's August, sometimes a slow season, but there's a lot of great news.
Well, there's some different things going on that you can get into, such as in Wilton, where there are some great pictures by Jeanette Ross in a story about trying to find the painted turtle. And this is the Woodstock Nature Center. That'll be a fun read.
Great photos.
But school's not far off because we've got some SAT statistics. The Country Fair, which is going to be August 28th at the Cannondale Grange. And dog licensing falling behind in Wilton, which is kind of interesting.
Less dogs or just people not licensing them?
That's what I got to read that and find out.
There's been a mass exodus of dogs in Wilton. Who knows? All right. Well, I am taking a look at the front page of the Shelton Herald. A lot of stories that we talked about this week on Coffee Break, including a former Shelton dispatcher who was working in Stratford, dying in an early morning crash on Monday. So some very sad news there. And of course, big primary news that we spoke more about on CT Pulse yesterday. Jason Perillo easily defeating his opponent for the 113th district. Perillo won by 90%. I also saw on Facebook that, Jason Perillo, he's our friend. We like him. He wasn't a big fan of this photo.
No?
He said that he was taking Aaron Berkowitz off his Christmas card list. I think it's a nice photo,
What's
Jason.
wrong with, I think it's a good photo.
But he was teasing. And also some big news, Altice USA laying off 600 people in their Shelton and Stratford offices. So that's some big news there.
Some big police news in Reading, Kate, where a Reading man was charged with inappropriately approaching and touching a girl during Fairfield's fireworks on July 4th down at Penfield Beach in Fairfield, and then a Reading resident charged with running an illegal kennel found out when her dog killed another at that illegal kennel. More positive news, great pictures from Stephen B. White and a story by Chris Burns about a meadow full of butterflies. I could use that today. Be a great place to relax.
That would be beautiful. All right, well, I'm taking a look at the front page of the New Canaan Advertiser. Cool lead photo, a carriage pulled by 2 horses making its way down South Avenue on Saturday. That old-fashioned mode of transportation was headed to a wedding in Waveney Park. What a beautiful, picturesque way to get there.
It's awesome, but I think Josh Fisher will agree because South Avenue is not slow enough on a Saturday without the presence of a horse-drawn
I'm sure all the
carriage.
people there really enjoyed it. More serious news, again, something we talked about on Coffee Break, but the daycare owner in Stamford facing charges in a New Canaan baby's death. So more on that story there. Stephen Williamson back as the town's postmaster, returning to New Canaan, and Waveney pool visits up 22% this year. So that's a pretty big number.
Yeah, I was trying to put my arms around that yesterday when I worked on the Advertiser as to why that might be.
Interesting, right?
Very. In Milford, we're looking at the Mere, where the court has denied the latest appeal in the Bick Drive project. Another butterfly story, this about a butterfly way station that has been created by a Girl Scout. And a look back in time when there was a beach that drew a lot of Jewish families in Milford, and this is in a history that Jill Dion wrote about.
Oh, interesting. All right, well, I'm taking a look at the front page of the Weston Forum. Some lead news, Patty Gay writing a story about the IRS warning about a surge in scams to look out for. Also, Weston's revived Fire Explorers program heats up. Sounds like a lot of fun. And maybe some not so great news for Weston families. They might not be excited to hear that Weston's 11th graders earned the lowest SAT scores in their DRG. Now, that DRG includes New Canaan, Darien, Wilton, Ridgefield, Region 9, and Westport. So interesting news there.
Yeah, it's a pretty high achieving group.
It's a very competitive DRG, but still I'm sure some families aren't excited about that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Campaign season has started, and it's official in Easton because the sign stealing has begun. In a story by Nancy Doniger, another look at the SATs there, where Barlow 11th graders were the 5th highest in language arts, and a story on dogs.
Dog days?
Dog days and canine they're loving pets, and they are life changers. And if you know anybody who has a dog, which I know you do, that is true.
Yeah, I got a couple of them. Love them. All right, well, I'm taking a look at the front page of the Ridgefield Press. O'Grady winning the probate primary, defeating Patrick Walsh, who's a Ridgefield guy. Now, that's a probate district that includes several towns, including Bethel and Newtown. So he took that easily. Some people were surprised that the Ridgefield guy, since they have such a big part of the vote, that they couldn't pull it out. Some very sad news. Justin Cowan's battle with cancer ending. That 13-year-old fought cancer for more than a year. He became a big part of the community. I know there were a lot of nice things done for him, a lot of outreach, and I know some people it's just some devastating news for that family, so our thoughts are with them. And drones are big in Ridgefield right now. They're on the radar. Police coming up with some ways that maybe they might need to regulate drone use, because there were concerns about drones flying over the Memorial Day parade and some other things. So more on that story in the Ridgefield Press this week.
But you could have flown model airplanes over all of those things too. They just weren't called drones.
Yes.
I mean, that's
very
what
true.
Let's call it what it is.
Very true.
In Darien, the selectmen have approved body cameras for the police department. That's after a second request from the chief. The community is rallying around a family after a serious accident, and a great summer photo, and that's of a young sailor on the Darien Junior Sailing Team. I know when I moved to a landlocked town, I missed having the Long Island Sound as a source of scenic photos in the summer.
All right, John. Well, I'm taking a look at the front page of the Trumbull Times. Big primary news there is that Marilyn Moore held on to her seat as a state senator for the 22nd District. Even though Trumbull Democrats had endorsed her opponent, she easily won that. And a really nice story that actually Aaron Berkowitz of the Shelton Herald wrote, which is a wish coming true for a Trumbull child in a joint effort with Make-A-Wish and the Shelton robotics team getting involved to build this young man a robot. And they were celebrating the granting of his wish to visit the original Lego factory. So
Oh,
just
that's
a
cool.
really nice community thing there. And Tim Herbst and Fred Garrity of Planning and Zoning sparring over a zone change on Main Street close to the mall. I know that's an interesting story. Definitely check that out. And a Trumbull man charged in a fatal Thanksgiving Day crash. More on that story in the Trumbull Times.
Our friends at Two Planks Theater Company in Monroe getting ready to wrap up the summer program with Gypsy. And the Better Business Bureau warning that digital copiers and scanners could be a source of personal information for those who might want to use it to steal from you.
All right. Well, taking a look at the Stratford Star, a story that we mentioned previously, but a Stratford dispatcher formerly worked in Shelton dying in that early morning crash. And there's a photo of a memorial set up there, John, that you actually took that photo right there.
Yeah,
Very
that was
sad.
striking down there.
It is. Also, a Worcester teacher is a semifinalist in an international speech competition, Kevin Broadbent. So congratulations to him. That's not easy. And again, Optimum laying off 600 people in their Shelton and Stratford offices. So that's obviously big news for people around here. And Ed Gomes holding on to his seat after the primary, holding on to his nod after the primary on Tuesday for the 23rd senatorial district.
What's interesting is I think that is also a case in which the candidate who was endorsed by the Bridgeport Democratic Town Committee was defeated.
Yeah,
and that's
very interesting,
you're
right?
beating a machine when you do that.
Yes, in both cases, Marilyn Moore and Gomes. Very interesting there. Yeah.
I want to see where that goes. It's tough to unseat an incumbent, but it's also tough to beat the Bridgeport Democratic machine. And then Arts and Leisure, we're getting ready for the Nutmeg Festival, and that is coming up Saturday in Ridgefield, sponsored by St. Stephen's Episcopal Church.
That's right.
What's coming up on Arts and Leisure this afternoon?
Right. Well, HAN Arts and Leisure is on at 2 o'clock today, and they have the real dad back. We're so excited to welcome him back, and a special guest. So more on that. And Yankee Fisherman, of course, at 1 o'clock.
We have 2 anniversaries. It's the 35th anniversary of the Catskill Fly Fishing Center and Museum, and it's the 100th birthday of the woman who greets you when you arrive there.
Cool. All right, John. Well, that's coming up at 1 o'clock, but we're going to wrap things up here on your coffee break, of course. We'll be back tomorrow at 11. We'll see you then. Have a great day.